Hello and welcome. Kerry here from Healing Humanity, the Power of a Proper Human Diet, along with Adam, Lynn, Barb, and Ashley. And we are here for our Thursday night Q&A. We're going to do some giveaways. We're going to have some fun. We're going to answer your questions. And before we get started, I just wanted to prompt everyone that's jumping on and joining. Please start right away and post your best question for us. And if you use hashtag ribeye, we're going to be giving away a Healing Humanity shirt in color blue shortly. You can either post your best question with hashtag ribeye in the chat or your carnivore testimony of healing with hashtag ribeye. And do we have any announcements, Ashley? I'm trying to think now. We just had our big South Carolina meetup.
Yeah, we just had the big South Carolina meetup. So I guess the announcement is waiting on you and Adam to get the documentary date so we can start doing some premiere dates, and some big announcements will be coming, but I know that's coming soon. Meat Stock is our next event that we are committed to being at and being a big part of it, which I'm super excited about. That's going to be an incredible event. And that one is May 1st through 3rd, or 2nd and 3rd, I guess. And those are, I know the tickets are selling quickly. I think the conference is still available. And I know there are plans, and I guess I don't want to overcommit here, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are plans that the Healing Humanity documentary may just be shown at the conference. So y'all get your tickets. If you haven't, come meet us there. I know Kerry and Adam are going to be doing a lot of Healing Humanity, probably guests talking about the documentary and the things that we did in there. It's going to be super exciting.
Absolutely. Meatstockconvention.com, and Emma's going to be there too. So come out and meet Emma too. I always get that question. Where's Emma? Is Emma coming? Emma will be there. All right. You guys ready to jump into some questions?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Here we go. Our first question is from Leslie. I'm curious if anyone else has quit using salt. I quit last year and now it blisters my tongue. Malden is what I used. Adam, you still doing salt?
I am, but at one time I did quit because it caused nausea for over a year and I couldn't figure out what it was. Seen a video from Bella, Steak and Butter Gal, where she did not eat salt, and I thought, well, I've eliminated everything and was just eating meat, salt, and drinking water. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I'll get rid of the salt, and it fixed my nausea issues. So I suspect it was causing some sort of irritation to my stomach, and that happened early on, and it just continued because I kept consuming just tons and tons of salt. So yeah, consuming excess salt can cause issues and problems for people, especially the blisters. So yeah, and it's really easy with Maldon to overdo it. Is that right, Ashley?
Sorry, I was on mute. To overdo it,
yeah.
I haven't had any issues myself, and I tend to use a lot. But I know it definitely has affected others, and I know that there are some that, like you said, have seen some benefit. So I haven't heard of the tongue blistering. That's new to me. I've never heard of that. And so I don't know if it's just Malden's that you've tried, or if you've tried other salts and found to have the same blistering on your tongue, but you might try a couple of different brands. But just make sure you're getting your electrolytes in for sure.
Good stuff. All right. A question from Jack Young Jr. Anyone here who have recently helped see the carnivore way of life? Who have you recently helped see the carnivore way of life? What stands out about what they are looking to heal? Adam, Lynn, Barb, Ashley, have you recently convinced anyone to start
carnivore?
I can
help with that.
Yeah.
A vegan. So yeah, our whole team basically would take part in that, right, Kerry?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did a private screening of the documentary here, and we actually had a vegan that said she's starting carnivore. And I don't know about you, Adam. I was like, is this real? Is this really happening? And she
Right.
subsequently joined our healinghumanity.life membership site, which there's a code on the bottom of the screen if anyone's interested in joining us. But she's legit. She was vegan and she's going carnivore now, which is incredible. Yeah, amazing.
It's really neat. I'll share a story that it's just, again, it's one about just, again, your example. We talk about a lot of times that you can knock people over the head with all the information and they just won't listen a lot of times. And so that's not always the right approach. And sometimes it's just the example and letting them see that. And there's a lady at my church that we've, been talking about carnivore for a long time. And she has been doing some carnivore, but it's been really kind of, off and on, not a real good, steady dose of true carnivore and, some cheats and whatever else. And her husband have recently had some recent doctor visits, and both of them came back and said that their doctor's on board. In fact, their doctor's saying that he's recommending several of his patients now doing carnivore, and they had some incredible results in their last blood work. And so it's just that kind of like, again, we talk about community all the time and how important it is, but when you know other people and you can kind of lean on somebody else and it's in conversation, you're sharing videos together, it makes a big difference. And it's kind of fun seeing those kind of influences land in the right direction.
Yeah, I've had a few people recently, and I mean, my friend that I brought to our San Diego meetup, Lori, she has a lot of pain from arthritis. And it was funny because since she came with me, she was eating carnivore, had no choice because she was traveling with me. And by day 2, I think she said that her foot pain was gone. And that was pretty incredible. And then I have also had another friend who had gut issues that she had been for years to gastroenterologists and they had not been able to help her at all. And so she decided to try carnivore and her gut pain went away just recently. I don't know if this person actually decided to do it, but we just recently sold our house. And so the notary that came by to sign the paperwork, she needed to see my driver's license, and it doesn't look anything like me anymore. So that brought up the topic. And so we started talking about carnivore and all the benefits I've had. And she has rheumatoid arthritis and is on 3 different medications, including biologics. She was so intrigued and decided to check us out. So I don't know whether she's done it or not. But.
Well, I have a friend that asked me a few questions when I went carnivore, but really didn't say a lot. And then a few months ago told me that she went carnivore and she has a gastric sleeve. So she had to be really mindful of small meals, but she was able to lose 50 pounds. And the most exciting thing is she had debilitating knee pain. She actually had an injury when she was young. She couldn't bend her knee at all. And she is free from that pain that's plagued her for years. And also she had a little bit of anxiety and depression, and that went away. So it was really exciting to see that. And she's just doing great.
That's amazing. I love it. It's so great to see when you have family, friends, loved ones, people find healing. It's amazing. All right, we got another question here. This is from Southern Mercy. I think I'm going to give this one to Adam because I think he's got some experience in this regard. I'm back on carnivore after months of being off due to skyrocketing beef prices. I was wondering if you have any good recipe for homemade electrolytes. I can't afford Element or Keto Chow for 3.
Yeah, so I don't have a great recipe. So it's really going to depend on, you and what type of electrolytes you can handle, especially in the realm of magnesium. So with magnesium, glycinate, and there's several others that you can choose from. So you're going to definitely want to experiment to find out what is best for you. But if you've had Element and it hasn't been an issue for you, they actually put the ratios of their electrolytes for their, I believe, I'm not sure if it's for all of them, but I know it's for the plain one.
Yeah,
is on their website.
It's just their raw one. They put the recipe on their website.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, I know that I personally had done that in the past when I was doing electrolytes. Now I buy them from Salter. But you can get a tiny little scale if you want to do it in smaller increments. or a larger scale if you want to make a whole bunch at once. Yeah, you should be able to extrapolate from their recipe to get a good starting point.
Good stuff. All right, question for Lynn. I've been on carnivore for 8 months. I've had a lot of improvements in my health. Recently, I'm having kidney pains and was told to hold off on red meats. I don't believe that. What say you?
Well, I'm curious, was it a doctor that told you to stay off of red meat? And have you had the kidney pain actually evaluated? So after 8 months, it could absolutely be oxalate dumping. We had a great session with Dr. Don Phillips on our our membership site last night where this topic came up. I would definitely maybe get some lab work done, find out if there's anything specifically going on with the kidney pain. I'm assuming that means you're having flank pain, and usually if it's on one side, that would be more indicative that there could be something going on with your kidneys. So first of all, always, if the pain is persistent, it's not going away, get it evaluated. After 8 months, I wouldn't anticipate that it would be an issue with kind of early adaptation. At this point, you should be adapted to breaking down the protein. And so my first thing is that it goes to oxalates, that it could potentially be an oxalate issue. But I would see if you could get an evaluation, make sure you don't have some kidney stones going on, drink plenty of fluids. But it isn't because of the carnivore diet. If it's oxalates, it's just because your body off and on releases oxalates from your tissues. And that can happen for several years after you've gotten all of the carbs out of your diet. And so, but absolutely get evaluated.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Question from Carnivore Farm Mom. This one's for Ashley. How many times did you attempt carnivore before it stuck? And Kerry, what a service you have done with so many to create healing humanity. Well, there's a huge, amazing team, including several individuals on the panel right now that made all of that happen. But thank you for your nice words. But yeah, Ashley, what do you think? How many times before did you attempt carnivore before it stuck?
For me, carnivore stuck pretty quickly, but part of the reason is if you know my history, I actually, when I first learned of my type 2 diabetes and it was severe, I was not in great shape. It was not a good thing. I actually did the paleo diet, and that's where I first kind of started. Well, I always had a hunch that the diet had something to do with it. I just never did anything to change my diet. But paleo diet actually really helped me change that. I just didn't know the addictive nature of sugar. I was, as soon as I had great results, I rewarded myself with pizza and ice cream and just thought, I'm good to go now. And so when carnivore was introduced to me, that was a pretty easy transition for me. So I will say that I haven't fallen off the wagon, and I've done really well for, how long? 1,116 days. So it's for me, it was a lifestyle change that I needed, and I adapted really quickly because I love to eat meat. So it's not been a challenge for me. I know there are others that definitely have had some fall off. I think if your why is strong enough and you're ready for that change, it's a great transition and easy to stick to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I tried keto several times before finding carnivore, but carnivore stuck for me. All right, we got a new member. A couple new members, K-Rod and Carnivore. Welcome. Thank you for that. This isn't really a question, but maybe a comment for Barb. I'd be interested to hear Barb's feedback on this one. Tom's daughter, who has autoimmune, is now carnivore, and the grandson is ketovore.
Oh, that is fantastic. I truly believe from my own experience and from the research out there that there's nothing better that you can do for autoimmune than to go carnivore. And the fact that your grandson is ketovore is awesome as well. I'd just be curious to see how he's feeling with it and how your daughter's doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Good news. All right. Here's a question for Adam or Lynn or anyone. I don't have experience with this myself, but was wondering if Propel water is a good source of electrolytes. Propel water.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with this either.
I'd say it depends on what you're looking to, need electrolytes for. I mean, it's considered something that people can use if they're trying to hydrate when they're working out. But if you are carnivore, honestly, the amount of electrolytes in those electrolyte waters are really not very much. So I wouldn't rely on that as a primary source for getting electrolytes.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And then I also caution on a lot of those. Again, watch for the hidden artificial sweeteners in those drinks, because a lot of those are flavored and yeah, definitely have some added ingredients you probably don't want in your drink.
Yeah, when I used to work with our GI patients, and we'd be doing colon preps, getting ready for colonoscopies, or they'd be sick, and the doctors, they would ask, should I drink Gatorade or should I drink Propel or some of these others? And it was always no, because it's very poor quality. The doctors used to say, look, one of the best hydrators, if you're looking for hydration out there, chicken broth is as good as a bag of IV fluids. So the salted chicken broth. So if you're looking for quick hydration, you can definitely drink some broth or beef or chicken broth. If you're looking for a regular, routine electrolyte, I would definitely go for a high quality, real electrolyte from the packet, or make one like Adam was saying on, the Element has a recipe on their website.
All right. If you have a question, please post it with hashtag ribeye. We're going to be doing a drawing shortly for Healing Humanity shirt in blue. And just want to mention quickly, we have our membership site, healinghumanity.life. You can get 50% off now. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. We've been having some amazing calls over there. We do about a dozen Zoom calls a week. Today, Thursday, we do our Inspire Together call, and it was a lot of fun, very inspiring stuff. So if you need more guidance on your journey to healing, that's what we're there for. We've got courses and Zoom calls, and you can get 50% off right now. Promo code on the bottom of the screen. Next question is for Adam. Adam's favorite question. He's really good at answering this one. When does the Healing Humanity documentary come out, Adam?
Very soon. So we're thinking roughly 3 months. This is it's all tentative at this point, because it's all contingent upon signing contracts and working with new companies. So we are in process of doing that right now. So we can't say definitively, but very soon. What is this, February 26th? I would say, what do you think, Kerry? Before 6 months into the year. It's hard to say. So we hope sooner rather than later.
Soon, and it's closer than we thought at the beginning of the year. And the good news is, I guess we're pretty much entirely done. Our editor's finishing up the credits as we speak. So can't wait for you guys to watch it. It'll be worth the wait. Appreciate everyone's patience. It was a huge, huge undertaking, but we're very close now. All right. Next question we have is on hormone replacement therapy. This would have been a good Dr. Nelson question, but I don't know if anyone here wants to take this. My primary care doctor suggested I go off of HRT until a 3-month follow-up on a probably benign growth in my left lymph node. It's checked again. Is that why my energy is so low?
You want to take this, Barb?
So, yeah, I'm just going to say that I don't know that there's a way to know that your energy level is low due to the growth in your lymph node. And also, of course, we're not giving medical advice. I don't know particularly why he suggested that you go off HRT. I do know in some cancers involving estrogen that it could be a concern, but I really can't give a definitive answer on that. And definitely would follow up with your physician and get the things checked. I don't know, Lynn, do you have anything additional on that?
Yeah, I mean, my thought was the same, that there's a reason, obviously, why I would definitely ask your whys to your doctor, because if it's already been determined that it's benign, but yet they want to check it again, they're obviously in that monitoring phase. And so my guess would be that they haven't 100% ruled out that there might be something else going on, and they're just being cautious. And because it is true, like hormone replacement therapy can feed certain types of tumors. And again, Dr. Nelson obviously would have been a better one to answer this if he was here. But I know that with doctors, sometimes it's hard to get your questions to them, and maybe your doctor has a nurse that you can reach out to. So, because a lot of times the doctors are really busy, but often they'll have a nurse that works for them. So maybe call the office and ask if you can speak with the nurse, and absolutely get your questions answered, because you definitely have a right to have all of your questions answered and know exactly why the doctor is telling you to go on or off any medications. And then also that would be a good opportunity to talk to the nurse about your low energy. It very well could be that going off of the hormone replacement therapy is causing the low energy, and there's maybe they might have some suggestions, and at a minimum they might be able to give you an idea of when you could go back. Well, they'll feel comfortable with you going back on it, so that having an end date might be helpful, at least psychologically, to know that this is not going to be forever.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. Question for Adam from Doug Bell. Been carnivore 2.5 years. I am type 2 diabetic. Blood sugar's around 85 or lower for the last year, but it's been 115 to 135. Anyone know why?
That's a great question, Doug. There's a number of factors that the reason why this could happen. So because you've been carnivore for 2+ years, it is postulated that your red blood cells are living longer. So your glycation can go up a little bit. But what I found specifically was coffee consumption caused my fasting sugar to go up by about 20 to 25 points, which I thought was pretty interesting. So other things that can affect it is stress, and so I would definitely look into those areas. I'm not saying that you're drinking coffee or anything like that. I'm just mentioning things that you can kind of check. What's your thoughts on that, Lynn?
Yeah, I agree. And you could asked to get a reticulocyte count, which can give you a better idea. There's another lab too. Do you remember what it is, Adam, that you can get to check and see whether or not your red blood cells are indeed living longer than before? And if they're living longer, I mean, it's about 3 months that they're going to live. And so if they live longer, your hemoglobin A1C is going to be higher, but as far as your actual blood sugar, so this is different. So hemoglobin A1C may go up if your blood cells are living longer, but your actual finger stick blood sugar maybe a little higher too. But I would wonder too, what are you eating? How much are you eating? If you may be going through gluconeogenesis, depending on how much protein you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be wondering, are you, maybe check and see, track your macros for a few days and see how much protein you're getting. Because regardless, if your body's nutritional needs are being met beyond, and you're eating more than what your body actually needs, then you're going to go into gluconeogenesis. You're going to be producing glucose out of that protein. So I would definitely track for a while if you can get a CGM and kind of watch and see how your body's responding to the different foods you're eating. You can eat too much protein on a carnivore diet, and that can affect your blood sugar.
All right. We're going to do a drawing for the Healing Humanity shirt in color blue in just a minute. If you have any questions, post them quickly with hashtag ribeye. Here's a question for Ashley. Is wild caught salmon okay on carnivore? Smoked salmon.
I'm not sure. You may have to invite me over to sample it first, and then I'll tell you. No, absolutely. Yeah, sounds amazing. Salmon's excellent on carnivore, and smoking it's even better. So yes, please.
A quick follow-up question, Ashley, as our resident meat smoker, have you made anything delicious or interesting lately?
Delicious or interesting? Yes, I guess is the answer to that, but it's kind of always my recent go-to is a tri-tip smoked. It was amazing. And smoked it for about 2 hours, and I just love. It's a cheap cut of meat, but it turns out fantastic. I love it.
You smoke it, and then do you sear it afterwards?
I do. I just like you, hot on that kind of little mini egg, and get a bunch of flames on it, and I don't season it or anything. I slice it, put a little salt over the top of it, and it's become one of my favorite meals.
I'm looking forward to warmer weather here in Wisconsin. I've been a big baby, but there's snow and ice all over my grill outside, so I'm always just, I'll just do it in the house. But it sounds like a delicious meal. All right. Well, we're going to do the drawing now for the Healing Humanity shirt in color blue. Do we have a drum roll?
Yep.
Drum roll, please. Here we go. The winner of a Healing Humanity shirt in color blue is Smoothie 420.
Hey.
Adam, how can Smoothie 420 claim their prize?
Well, Kerry, Smoothie 420 can go to healinghumanity.movie/giveaway. Fill out the form, and Ashley will promptly send you your shirt. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And if you didn't win the shirt and you're jealous because you see all of the Healing Humanity shirts and you want one, those are available at healinghumanity.movie. You can click on the little merchandise, and the proceeds from that go to support Healing Humanity, not just the documentary we're going to be releasing very soon, but also hopefully the future subsequent series as well. All right, we're going to do another drawing. This time we're going to do it for healinghumanity.life membership, 30-day free membership. I mentioned this earlier. We do 12 Zoom calls per week, doctors, experts, Q&As. There's courses really there to help you on your path to healing. Post your best question or your story of healing with #life, and we're going to do that drawing very soon. All right. We've got a question from Paul. Any advice for type 1 diabetes? I am very close to 0 carb. Barb, any thoughts on that one?
So I would say that as a type 1 diabetic, you are managing your blood sugars and checking them and working with your physician. Definitely, there's been a lot of research on low carb for type 1 diabetes. Dr. Bernstein has a lot of great stuff on that. So I think it's something that you really have to pay attention to and make sure that you're dosing insulin properly. But there's so many success stories of diabetics who've been able to drastically reduce their insulin and really pretty much control their diabetes with diet. Now, Lynn, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. And I know, I refer to Amy Perrin to a lot of people who are type 1 diabetics. Her YouTube channel is Brisket Boomers, because she works with and coaches type 1 diabetics, and she herself is a type 1 diabetic. So I would tap in to other people who are type 1 diabetics using low carb or carnivore. Now she does carnivore, and she's been able to get her insulin dosage way, way down. It's very rare. It can happen, but there are, most people that are type 1 diabetics don't completely get off of their injectables, but you can bring it way, way down. There was a study done where there was someone early on in being diagnosed, a young 19-year-old young man who actually had his beta cells start working again by doing a carnivore diet. But I don't think there's any studies on people who've had it for longer. But I would maybe try to connect with Amy and just get some tips from somebody who's doing it as a type 1 diabetic.
Good stuff. All right, we've got Grandma's Crochet Corner. If you guys aren't watching Grandma's Crochet Corner on YouTube, you're missing out. She's also a member on healinghumanity.life. She's awesome. Grandma's asking, Barbara's asking, recipes for bone broth. How often can someone drink it, and what exactly is it good for on the carnivore journey? Maybe we'll throw this one to Adam to start off. Adam, do you ever do bone broth?
I do occasionally, and really, I don't do the traditional bone broth. It's more like back when I was eating a standard American diet, more so when I was a kid, and I went to get a pop or soda, as some people like to call it, from a restaurant, and they had all the different types of drinks. I would get a little bit of each one. They'd call it a suicide, and that's what I would drink. So that's kind of the way that I make my bone broth. Is I save scraps from every piece of meat that I have and whatever bones, throw it into a pot. Of course, I save it in the freezer, and then I throw it all in a pot and sort of make like a stew out of it. So it's not in the traditional sense of making bone broth, but let's see. How often can you drink it? I would say as often as you can stand it. There shouldn't be any issue why you wouldn't be able to drink it as much as you want. And what is it good for? It's got a lot of good vitamins and minerals in there. It's got collagen. You got lots of fat in it. It tastes really good. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear what the rest of you guys have to say about that.
Just if you're histamine sensitive, you may not be able to drink bone broth. So keep in mind it's different than meat stock. So meat stock is just the juice that comes off of the meat itself, not necessarily from the bones. So the bone broth tends to be higher in histamine because of the fact that it's cooked for a very long time. So if you're histamine sensitive, you may have an issue with it, but if you're not, I absolutely agree. You should be able to drink it as often as you want to.
I was just going to add, I've talked about this person before. My friend Malia, she works with folks that have really serious autoimmune disorders, and she's a big advocate for soft meats and bone broth, just for healing in general. So good for healing. The collagen part Adam mentioned too, I think is huge. Our friend Mimi too, who just came to our South Carolina meetup, she was the one that got me and the girls doing bone broth, and I think she does it every single week. It's like a regular part. Every week she's got bone broth going and consuming it regularly. So good question, Grandma. Thank you. Oh, here's a question for me. Why are you all so awesome? Keep slaying it. Because we're a carnivore. Carnivores are awesome. There's nothing we can do about it. Once you become carnivore, you're automatically awesome. No way around it. This is a follow-up from the earlier question. This is Nina. My daughter feels best on meat. She has POTS and EDS. Took a month to come out of low energy phase.
Wow.
We were just talking about that on the membership site. POTS and EDS.
Yeah. Yeah. And hi, Nina. Good to hear from you.
And we have 5 Homestead How memberships gifted from Bob Beater. Thank you so much, Bob. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Memberships
Bob,
all go.
We showed your picture, the one we took with you and I and Dr. Nelson on our call on our membership site.
Yeah, it was great seeing you, Bob, at South Carolina.
Yeah. It's always great to see Bob in his pants.
Got to see Bob in the pants. There it is. Yep.
And we got Lori Carnivore Cheer, $5 super chat. Lori, you don't have to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lori.
Congratulations on finishing the documentary. Thank you so much, Lori. All right, and we have a question from Lori. We'll throw this one to Lynn maybe to start. What is the best approach to dealing with iron deficiency anemia?
Well, definitely work with your doctor because it's not something to mess around with. And very likely your doctor's going to probably want you to take either an iron supplement or an iron infusion to get your iron levels up. Basically, you need to figure out what is the underlying cause of the iron deficiency anemia. And so I would absolutely say definitely work with your doctor. I mean, eating a carnivore diet is definitely a good, it has lots of that heme iron. But if you're still anemic, you absolutely need to work with your doctor, because you're not going to feel good if you're anemic. And so, sometimes we have to supplement. We have to work with our doctor. We're not against doctors here.
One thing I'd like to add on that is, so one thing that can block the absorption of iron in your diet is coffee. So that could be a potential issue as well. If you're eating any sort of vegetables at all that have oxalates in them, oxalates can also block the absorption of iron. There's other things too, but those are sort of the main ones that people would run into.
All right. Question from Ann Johnson. Those days I don't want to cook. Can I still be healthy only eating bacon and fried eggs? What do you think, Ashley?
100%. Yes. In fact, I mean, if you're a normal human being / carnivore, you should be cooking bacon in bulk. You can't just cook a couple of pieces. You got to cook it, and you always have to have extras to hand out whenever somebody needs some bacon. Bring purse bacon with you, absolutely. And eggs are fantastic. It's really one of the most nutritious foods that you can eat. So yeah, you're in great shape on your off days eating bacon and eggs.
One of my favorite meals.
I will say I got spoiled when we were in Charleston. I got to eat a Gen Man fried egg, and it was delicious. Cooked and prepared by Gen Man herself.
Nice. Rebecca, not a question, but I miss seeing y'all's faces.
Aww.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca.
We miss seeing you too. Question for Adam from RJ McKenna. I am not active. Do I still need to use electrolytes? I do use quality salt on my meat.
That's a great question. So it really just depends on you. If you're not active and you're just having salt, that's might be enough for you. I went for an entire year without having salt or any electrolytes. So my body was perfectly fine with extracting the vitamins and minerals out of the meat itself. So really everybody's different. So all you can do is maybe titrate down and see if it's causing an issue for you or not. Hopefully your body will let you know as you do that. So maybe do it a little bit slower than what you think you should, and you may get to where you don't need to take any at all.
All right. And we're still doing a giveaway. If you have a question, you can still get it in. #life with your best question or testimony. Here's a question for Barb. Have you ever gone on a prolonged sardine fast? I heard it's a game changer by day 3.
So I have done 72-hour sardine fasts a couple of times. And okay, I'm one of those strange people that actually like sardines. Now, I will put that with the caveat that it depends on what kind of sardines you're eating, because there's different kinds. So I would say if you're considering doing a sardine fast, find sardines that you enjoy as much as you can, and then just eat sardines on those days of the fast until you're full. I mean, I don't think there needs to be a limit on the amount of cans of sardines that you eat, although a lot of people will say it is self-limiting just because they don't care for sardines. And I will say that I did feel pretty good. And as far as getting ketones up, there's something a little bit magical about that, as Dr. Boz says. The last time I did it, actually, my husband had the flu and I felt just a little bit off. And I decided that I was going to do a sardine fast. So I did a 3-day sardine fast, and I felt great, and I didn't get sick like he did. So I'm going to give credit to that.
Good stuff. All right. All right. Our next question. Desmond is asking, I've got 3 teenagers and I want to eat to grow taller. Any suggestions? Adam, what do you think on that one?
Well, you have 3 teenagers. So what do you think?
Eat meat. Eat carnivore.
There you go.
The only thing I could think when I read that was I've heard Dr. Chafee talk about this before, but different groups of people that have been primarily meat-based that were giants. I think he's mentioned, well, for one, the Maasai eat mostly meat and they're incredibly tall. And I think he said the Mongols, and there's other groups of people throughout history that were just giants. Dr. Chafee's talked about before that ate mostly meat. So yeah, I would do carnivore. eat a lot of fatty meat.
Well, the Plains Indians, there's stories out there about the Plains Indians back before we wiped out the bison, that they were unbelievably strong. They're described as being like absolute specimens of manhood. Now, I'm assuming these teenagers are boys, because usually it's the boys that want to grow big and strong. But if you can look up, the documented stories about these Plains Indians, and they lived off of bison. That's what they ate. They were basically carnivores, and these men were unbelievable. And the talk is not just on their how physically fit they were and how tall they were and strong, but their brains. They were so incredibly smart and intuitive and just impressive human beings. So that's something that maybe your kids might be interested in reading about them, and that would probably really inspire them.
Absolutely. All right, here's a question for Ashley from Jack Young Jr. What best practices do you recommend for type 2 diabetic who had A1C of 10 at high and now ketovore? Sounds kind of familiar.
Sounds very familiar. And I know Jack's been commenting on here before too, so appreciate that comment. A1C of 10, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have their A1Cs high like that. It's definitely a process. As you know, A1C is a measure of over 3 months. So it's not an overnight success, but you will see it come down on the carnivore diet. If it were me, and it was strict carnivore for me. I didn't do ketovore until I got that down, until I made sure it was at a good level. I went from 11.1 to 5.6, and I think that is when you start getting at those levels and whatever else, if you want to then do a little more ketovore and add a few things in here and there, you're probably fine to do that. But I think carnivore is definitely the right way if you want to impact it the fastest and eliminate those carbs completely. So great results for me. I know I've heard, I mean, how many hundreds of people have we heard reversing their type 2 diabetes eating carnivore? It's amazing. Like Kerry always says, that it's not front page news, that there's not more people out there talking about, because most of the time when you find out that you can lower it that quickly, that easily, it's almost maddening. That it's just really what you're eating will greatly impact you.
All right, Tristan 471. Question for Adam. I have MS, so I've certainly been really looking into carnivore. How did you get started, Adam?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that you have challenges with MS. So I got started into carnivore. I'm not sure if you're asking like practically how I did or how I found out about it. I found out about it through Joe Rogan. He has an autoimmune condition that I have, vitiligo, and that's basically how my journey started. I did some research, found Dante Ferrigno, and found Dr. Berry, and I basically jumped in both feet and didn't look back. So I definitely don't recommend that people just jump in right away. I definitely would recommend, if you're going to go to carnivore, transition to keto first, then ketovore, and then into carnivore. Otherwise, you can have complications. in the restroom, complications with keto flu, things like that. That's the majority of what people are going to see if they jump in. So, yeah. So I found Carnivore through Joe Rogan and jumped in both feet. So, but I've interviewed a few people with MS that one of them, their symptoms are completely in remission. So you're definitely on the right track.
Yeah. I was just going to add too, there's a lot of, I've gone down this rabbit hole recently on MS. There's a lot of amazing interviews out there. I've had several individuals on my channel, Emily Penton, Diane Ladd, woman named Karen. I can't remember her last name. Dave Mack has a playlist on his channel, and it has 24 videos in the MS playlist. So something to maybe inspire you if you watch some of those videos. I think Diane Ladd, the Boston Carnivore, she's got an incredible story. But even just on Dave's channel, I was just looking at it the other day. I just randomly picked one of those videos, and they had a gentleman on there, MS, had lesions on his brain before Carnivore. They literally showed the scan in the video and then the scan after with just a perfectly normal brain without lesions anymore. It's like some of this stuff should definitely be front page news, but there's a lot of stories out there. If I were you, I would investigate some of those a bit more. All right, Lions Danivore podcast. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Kerry, when will you come to Long Island, New York? I will cook the absolute best asado Argentine barbecue you ever had. We cook the whole cow, brother. The lifestyle is heaven sent for me. I'm coming over right now. Let's go.
I'm looking for plane tickets
incredible.
as we talk here.
Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm going to stop and get the salmon first, and then I'm heading to New York.
Right. All right. Question from Julie. How can I slow cook beef so that it tastes really good and is tender? Can you recommend any good spices to add? So I'll take this one quick. I slow cook beef all the time, and people get mad at me because they always demand a recipe and the precise number of hours and all of this. And I buy a chuck roast, I put it in the slow cooker, I put the slow cooker on low. I don't put any spices in mine. It's my preference. I just don't do any spices. I put a little salt on it. I don't even put water in there. And you wake up the next morning, the whole house smells incredible. I would recommend, if you haven't tried this before, as crazy as it sounds, because it sounded crazy to me. How can you eat just a plain piece of meat with a little bit of salt on it? It turns out incredible. And we've made this for our non-carnivore family. We had this at Easter once, and everyone was like, you got to give me that recipe. And I'm like, it's literally a chuck roast, a slow cooker. I do nothing else. I put it on low, and the meat is really the star of the show. That's what tastes so good. You really don't have to hide the meat with spices or sauces or anything like that. It really is incredible when you do it that way. So that'd be my recommendation. Try a chuck roast, low and slow overnight, a little bit of salt, don't add any water, and see how you like it the next morning. All right. We're getting there. We got a bunch of questions coming in now. Hashtag life with your best question. Carnivore Cheer said, I use Redmond real salt, but I've heard some people say sea salt is better. Is there any truth to this? I'm going to toss this over to Adam because he's an expert on salt.
I am not. But through our mutual friend, Scott Everson, who runs Meat Stock and also owns Salter, he has a lot of good information on his website about Redmond specifically, and tests that have been done for heavy metals and other potential toxins that could be in the Redmonds versus his sea salt. And it does seem like the general consensus is that sea salt is pretty good, but you have to get it from a good source. The sources that he's pulling from up north in Norway seem to be fairly clean, some of the cleanest that you can find on the planet. But there are some sea salts that are, not very good. So you just kind of have to be careful. So I'm not a salt expert, but that's about the extent of my salt knowledge. Kerry, you did research on it.
You're not a salt expert, but you play one on TV. Yeah, I agree with what Adam's saying. It's like everything in the carnivore space. We got to be detectives, and you really got to dig into things. I guess the one thing I'll add that I think is really interesting, and Scott's mentioned this before too, and I agree with it. I always like to live by what is ancestrally appropriate. So eating meat, drinking water, fasting. The thing is with salt, traditionally salt was taken out of the sea, and having like equipment and dynamite and things getting it out of a mine isn't really ancestrally appropriate. It doesn't sound like it'd be the worst thing in the world, but there are a lot of the salts out there that are very popular, like Redmond's, that have been tested with heavy metals in them. And for most people, it's probably not that big of a deal, but I think it is a big deal for us carnivores, because that's, if I looked on a pie chart of what I eat, it's like meat and salt. That's it. So salt is a big proportion of my diet. Every time I'm eating meat or eggs or animal products, I'm having salt on it. So the quality of it is really important. So I've actually switched over, and it's not just because Scott's a friend, but legitimately I really enjoy the salter salts. That's the one I've been using lately. But yeah, you definitely got to dig in and do some research. All right. Maybe this one we'll toss over to Lynn. What do you think on this one, Lynn? I was just diagnosed with osteoporosis. Will carnivore take care of that?
I think it'll put you in definitely a good place of getting better for osteoporosis. I can at least share my personal experience. I did never officially get an osteoporosis diagnosis, but when I first got my SMART scale, my body composition showed my bone density on the low end of low. And with my mast cell activation syndrome, I was definitely at high risk for osteoporosis. I just didn't go get checked. So I don't know whether I had it or not. But after being carnivore, my bone density is now on the higher end of normal. So I have actually gained bone, and I've talked to many other people who have had the same experience. So you figure, the protein that we're getting, if you go into carnivore from a standard American diet, it's typically not very much protein, or not very much good quality protein, because a lot of people will eat protein bars and shakes, and when you're eating the meat, you're getting those building blocks for muscle and bone. And so I was shocked, starting at 55, middle-aged woman, to find my bone density improved. So I'm hopeful that it will for you too.
Good stuff. All right, we got a testimony from Richard Plumley. Thank you, Kerry and crew. 8 months today. Healing happened. Blood pressure normal. Headaches gone. AFib gone. You all answered prayers. Thank you. Amazing.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Richard. Love hearing that. All right. We got that one. Bucky Badger is asking the entire panel, how many have tried canned cod liver in its own oil? Tried it yesterday and it was amazing. Didn't realize a fish product could be so fatty. 42 grams of fat, 2 protein, 400% vitamin D. I have not tried canned cod liver in its own oil. Anyone here have?
No. I have not. No.
Never.
You guys have homework.
Bucky
All right.
Badger, challenge accepted.
Might be something to try.
Bucky Badger, check in next week. We'll have a report for you. I have not tried that. I'm open to trying it. All right, we're getting near the end here. We have a question from Linda. Barb, what do you think of this one? How do you stop losing weight on carnivore?
Well, first of all, you need to make sure that you're eating enough. Carnivore is very satiating. And so sometimes you can unintentionally undereat. So I would look at the quantity of what you're eating and also the composition of it. Are you eating a lot of protein and not enough fat? One way to make sure that you don't continue to lose is to increase your fat. So finding the balance that works for your body will be helpful in that. So I'm not a fan of tracking, but it may be a good thing to do for a few days just to figure out, hey, how much food am I eating? How much energy am I taking in? And what's the composition of that? And then make adjustments from there.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Thank you, Barb. And then we have a question From Thinking for Myself, this is for Lynn. Lynn, what do you say to someone who says they have thyroid problems as they eat a candy bar and make excuses why they cannot do carnivore?
Unfortunately, that is probably a very common problem. And I know as carnivores, it's really difficult to be in the situation where you have the answer, that this is something that can help people, and they're still in that self-sabotaging mode. And honestly, somebody who's like that, they have not come to the place yet where they're ready to give up their candy bar. And we all, so many of us came from being addicts, and so I would just say, just to model for them what good health can be on a carnivore diet, and offer the information to them. But if they are constantly making excuses, they're not in the right mindset, and unfortunately there's probably not a whole lot you're going to be able to do to convince them, but just model for them.
Yeah, good stuff. Sometimes it's the best you can do is just be the best example and say your piece and then let them.
Oh, I've been there. There's nothing that was going to convince me to stop eating my junk food. So I understand.
And here's a great comment. Thinking for myself, healing humanity has changed my life.
That's
Me
awesome.
too.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. We apologize if we weren't able to get to all of your questions. We do this every Thursday at 6 p.m. We're still going to do the drawing for the Healing Humanity 30-day free membership. But if we weren't able to answer your question, you can always join our membership site, healinghumanity.life. Promo code, link in the description below to get 50% off. We can really spend more time and thoroughly answer any questions you may have in there. Before we do the drawing, Adam, Lynn, Barb, Ashley, do you guys have any big announcements or anything new coming up on your channels?
I do not.
Well, I did. I've just moved, and I know I mentioned this last time we were on, that I've been, I moved out into the country and bought a Frank Lloyd Wright style house. I did a before video, and so I'm going to be posting on my channel as we remodel and do work on the property. And it's still going to be part of my carnivore channel because it's part of my story. I would not have been able to have the physical ability to do any of this and to actually have acreage if I didn't have healing. So check out Midlife Carnivore, and soon I'm going to get that video out there to show you what our crazy house looks like before we start doing the work on it.
That's great.
It's exciting. You're doing all these adventures that you wouldn't have done otherwise. It's pretty awesome. Just a quick reminder, there's a link in the description. Make sure you subscribe, follow Adam, Lynn, Barb, Ashley. Links in the description below. Barb, do you have anything new coming up? No Carb Barb?
I've got a show coming out tomorrow. So anybody that is suffering from chronic illness or knows somebody that is, it'll be a good episode to watch.
I love it. Ashley, Carnivore Brothers.
Nothing too exciting coming up. I definitely need to get some others out there. I've got a couple of things that are partially finished, but not enough to get them published yet. So hopefully soon.
All right.
One last thing, Kerry.
Yeah.
So there was a comment from Jason_916. He said he's asked Salter multiple times for a COA, and they are ignoring me at this point. So I just spoke with Scott, and Scott said to email him directly, scott@livesalter.com, and he'll connect with you and make sure you get what you need.
Good stuff. All right. All right. We're giving away a 30-day membership to healinghumanity.life. Drum roll, please. The winner of a 30-day membership to healinghumanity.life is Jana Hallman. Congratulations, Jana. Adam, how can Jana claim their prize?
Well, Kerry, Jana Hallman can go to healinghumanity.movie/giveaway, fill out the form, and Lynn will promptly send you a code. Congratulations.
Congratulations. And thank you all for your wonderful questions. We really appreciate it. We do this every Thursday night. almost every Thursday night. We missed one. 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check back and you don't miss it. And we'll see you guys on the next call. Have a good night, everyone.